and needs a sign interpreter, there are seats at the front, and we will move people out of the way so that you can use the interpreter. So if you are here now, please come and make your way to the front. Otherwise, I'll assume we're ready to get underway. My name is Don Gould, and I'm going to be facilitating this exercise this evening. Thank you all for coming out to an event that Caleb organised on social media. I'd like to introduce you to Caleb Saunders, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to start with a little bit of housekeeping. Obviously, there are toilets through the door around the corner. If there is an emergency, there is a fire exit, which the lovely camera is blocking. Thank you. Thanks, camera guy. That's wonderful. We will meet outside in the car park if there is an emergency, and please keep calm and make your way out. I think that's probably about enough on that sort of stuff. Tonight is all about keeping calm, being respectful, and asking questions and presenting your concerns. On Facebook earlier in the last couple of days, we came up with about 30 different questions. If we give each question, say 3 minutes, times 30, no one's going to bed before midnight. So, if I ramble too much, Stephen here will tell me to shut up if one of the councillors doesn't. If one of the councillors rambles too much, I guess that's my job to tell them to be quiet. Right, before we go too much further, I'm going to get Caleb to introduce himself and explain why he has invited us all here tonight. Caleb.
Hello, my name's Caleb. I've been a resident of the east side of Christchurch for pretty much all my life, so I understand the problems that we face over this side of town. So my main reasoning for calling this meeting was because I felt that the council had not done a good enough job at reaching the people on our side of town,
And exactly, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Caleb. I think you've just sort of made the point exactly. So we invited them to show up, and they have showed up. So let's introduce some of them. Starting with, of course, Her Worship the Mayor, Leanne Zell. That was your cue to stand. The Council's Chief Executive, fresh back from the United Kingdom after doing a little bit of house selling herself. Now there's a couple of opportunities in Bromley coming. Right, okay, I'll move right along. I could spend the next 20 minutes introducing members, so if council staff and folk would like to stand up, I'd like to point out we have the comms team here. We have Mary Richards, Mary, would you be so kind as to remind us your role?
Kia ora koutou, I'm Mary Richardson. I'm in GM of the Citizen Community area, so the community facing area.
So when it comes to community and thinking about where the buck stops and asking people and talking to them, the best people in the council are here tonight and they're accessible. I'm going to start with a little bit of introduction, a little bit more introduction about why the hell I'm hosting this exercise this evening. So I'm from Richmond, which is the suburb that got dug up for the Flotten Basin flooding disaster following the earthquakes. We had a $53 million drainage project go through our area that got stalled. We had 2 work sites across 2 suburbs, dust in 2 suburbs, health concerns, 4 acquired homes, 8 seriously impacted homes, a bunch of mental health issues in 3 suburbs. We had to call in our local MP, do some delegations in front of council. We had to learn how to lobby to get the stuff done. We have a $27 million roading project that was forecast to be delivered over 15 years. You think 7 months is a problem, let me talk to you about 15 years of the roads not working. Our roads have been fixed in 3. They will be finished shortly. They're 3/4 done now. And we achieved that by doing what you folk have done tonight, by coming out and politely sharing concerns with the council. So, why I'm here? Because I've got some skills in the area and I offered some help, and no one else really stepped up to do what I can do, what I knew, my knowledge, so I'm bringing my Richmond knowledge to bear here. $90 million worth of insurance, 7 months passed so far. That was the same story in my suburb, whole stop project. Admittedly, my project's not on the scale of yours, and I wouldn't like to suggest that it is, because my project didn't stink. It just put dust in your eyes every time you walk through parts of the suburb. There are more questions than answers. It's breaking the community, we know that. It's not just Bromley's poo though, which is why we have here, and I'd like to introduce you to Councillor Sam McDonald, if you'd like to stand up. He is from the other side of the city, where it doesn't even get to unless the wind has just gone insane. Tonight we're here to get and share questions. So we're going to invite a host of questions from you folk. We're also going to have Caleb present some questions from the social media feed because we've collected 18 or so there. And we're on the live stream. Oh, hello live stream. Hello everybody. We have to get focused on caring for this community and fixing the broken that already exists. We can, we must, we will, and we have to look after each other. This is going to be 4 months, folks, of getting the mess out of the trickling filters. That's those 2 big things that caught fire. It's going to take 4 months, and some of the stench is said to get worse between now and then. So we're going to have to work out an action plan with the council, with the local health authorities, and figure out how we're going to care for each other through that time. Right, some ground rules. I think I've pretty much covered them. We are all frustrated, we are all over this, we are all stressed. We have to keep this civil, we have to keep it short. As I said, 30 questions, 3 minutes, 90 minutes, no one's going to sleep tonight. Lots of people have questions, lots of people have concerns. That reminds me, we've got post-it notes. Everyone remembers how we did the post-it note for Have Your Say for the after the earthquakes. We brought post-it notes. If you have a thought and a question or a concern and you don't want to share it tonight, but you'd like to write it down, please do. If you'd like someone to get back to you, then write your name and your phone number on the back of the piece of paper. That will indicate you'd like someone to get back to you. If we fail to do that, and we will, you know we will, that's what social media is for. So we've got the sewer crisis.nz Facebook page, which is a great repository for jumping in and giving us a kick and reminding us that you asked. And chase me down, I'm happy to be chased. Thank you! Wonder when someone would get that. And thank you for being polite and thank you for being respectful, so we'll move on. So, tonight's agenda, I'm going to hand over to Leanne, who's going to say 1 or 2 things on behalf of the council, and then we're going to open the floor to invite your questions. Thank you.
Kia ora koutou katoa. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to begin by acknowledging Caleb as well for organising the meeting and actually for reaching out to the council and inviting councillors to be here and council staff as well. So it's thanks to Caleb for working on the issue, bringing the issue to a public meeting, and then inviting us to be here. And I'd like to thank Don for facilitating the meeting as well and bringing his community experience to the table. I did notice that Tracy McClellan had come into the room. Tracy's the local Member of Parliament. Hi Tracy. I can't see who you're sitting next to. Oh, Paul Williams, you've already been mentioned in the meeting once, so it's great because this is right on the cusp of the 2 electorates. I've represented Christchurch Central and Christchurch East, and Bromley's been in each electorate, even though I've moved from Christchurch Central to Christchurch East. I've represented the area in both spaces, so it's really great that the MP for Port Hills, which is where it is now as I understand, and then the crossover into Christchurch East. I'm really pleased that this is a community-led meeting. So this is not a council meeting, this is a community-led meeting. And that means the meeting is all about you. It's not about anyone who's come here to answer to your questions or even to, it's all about you. So I'm only going to speak very quickly. My colleagues and I are here to listen to you and answer the questions that we can. We're not going to be able to answer all of your questions tonight, but what we are going to be able to do is to make sure that we've got communication channels that are effective and meaningful. But I want to start just with the words that I started my comments in the council meeting yesterday, and that is to apologise to you. To apologise to you for the lack of communication, the insufficient communication, and for the fact that we relied on mechanisms for communication, particularly this year, sort of when Omicron hit and then beyond, is that we haven't made sure that it was effective. So one of the guys, when I came in the room, he held up a piece of paper and he said to me, "This is the first that I've heard from anyone, and that isn't good enough, not good enough." And it's what I've come here to say, and what I said in the council yesterday, it is not acceptable that you didn't know enough about what was going on. So the messages didn't get through. We were hearing from the community though. We heard loud and clear a very, very strong message. When will this be over? When will the trickling filters and the wastewater treatment plant and the catastrophic fire that it was, when will the smell that it's causing, the stench that it's causing, I mean, we've actually changed the wording on the website to refer to what you're actually experiencing. It's a disgusting stench, and we've heard you, but people wanted to know, when will it be over? So if this meeting had been held last week, I would have told you that the smell would be over by the end of the year. I would have said we're expecting it to be completed by the end of December. Now that we have a contract with Southern Demolition, I can say that the intention is to have it cleared by the first week in spring. So that takes us into September, and the question is now is how do we get from where we are today to that first week in spring. And I think that what I've come to promise you is that everything we do as a council from here on in will be completely front-facing. So you will have heard that the council is meeting every fortnight to receive a report on this matter. So publicly, we will be monitoring progress and reporting to the community through that means. We will have a weekly report. Now, the email numbers, the email addresses that we've got, they're insufficient. We really need to be doing a lot more. So those of you who have emails or who are in associations where there are people who have email addresses, can you please send them in or fill them out on one of the sheets here so that we can stay in touch. And every 2 weeks, every monthly, we've got an insurance committee of the council that is monitoring very closely the claim. It has been a catastrophic fire. Both trickling filters have been knocked out of action. The staff have had to keep the plant running by bypassing the trickling filters and the effect that has. And we've got millions of dollars the reinstatement will cost riding on an insurance claim that has been accepted but is not yet settled. I'm confident that we'll get to that settlement. We've followed the right protocols and procedures, but there is still the 4 months to go. So we're here to hear what your concerns are, to hear what your questions are, and as I say, any one of us will get up and answer the questions that we can, but this meeting is yours.
Excellent, thank you very much, Leanne. And before we go any further, I'd also like to acknowledge Nicole Marshall. Where are you? Oh, thank you. Because one of the top questions that we've heard is, where the hell is ECAN? Apparently it's behind me. I'm glad I finally have the Mayor and ECAN behind me on this issue. Thank you, Aaron. Right, so who would like to be first with a question? Excellent. Yep. Well, yep, you've got a microphone in your hand, go for it.
John Bromley on around April. Sorry. I want the council a high-level documented plan on the steps that they're going to take to get this issue resolved. I don't want it ending up like the chlorination of the water, and we're still waiting for that. And so I want a finish, to see a finish with those steps, and a plan that is easy for the average layman to read on each step, and the people who are responsible.
Okay, John, so if I could wind that up, basically what you want is a plan. So the question is probably on the Chief Executive to start with, because you're the one in charge of putting together plans. Who's putting together a plan behind this? Is that Helen, or do you want to speak to that? There's a slide that's going to help with that. You're going to give me a slide. Someone's going to give me a slide. That's going to make a nightmare. Yeah, okay. Yep. We'll pick up another question while we find a slide. That mouse will disappear as you plug that thing into that idea. So just use...
Darren, is that one?
Yeah, that mic seems to be crap. I've already realised that. So turn it on and I'll have another go. Right, who's second on a question? We want a timetable. We want a timetable, a plan. We want to know when there's going to be a plan. What would you like to know, madam?
Quick question, please. How did the fire actually start? Excuse my ignorance, if I should know.
I'd like to know how that started too. Who wants to deal with that one? Helen, you're up. It's your plant. You're head of Three Waters. It's your plant. Tell us how it started.
That's still subject to investigation, and it, we want to have a successful insurance claim.
Okay, folks, I'm going to just jump in over the top of Helen because I actually know the answer to this question, so I'm just going to give it to you instead. The answer to this question is, as Helen has said, it is subject to an insurance claim, and I'll tell you what, we will find out eventually, because we always find out. Around the globe, people find out what actually went on with this. But there are people's lives at stake here, folks, as well. There are people's careers, and we can't ask these guys to make that sort of announcement to this community tonight. So I'm getting told to wind that up. Okay, so do we have another question? Can we get back to John's question here? Oh, we can. Oh, a time frame. Oh, wow. You didn't tell me you were bringing this. Yep, Helen, you're up again.
So this one is the time frame for removing the material from the two trickling filter housings, and as Leanne pointed out, will be completed in terms of removing that material by the first week of September. Now they are working on them one at a time, so the material will be taken out progressively over the next few weeks.
What happens when
Okay, another question.
I've been told that what happens when the diggers build a ramp up against the tank, is the tank going to be reinforced so that it's not going to collapse in and cause more devastation?
So we call them tanks, but they're really just round warehouses. So they're not full of water. They're full of plastic bales. It's a bit like hay bales, but they're made out of plastic. So that the tank isn't a tank in the sense of carrying a whole lot of weight. It's really just a housing. So there's no concern about that. And the structural engineers have done their job on that.
Okay, and I'll also add to that they drilled a bunch of holes in it. There was actually an insurance part of the insurance claim was drilling some holes in it to really understand how strong these things are and if the fire damaged them in any way. So yes, they're not going to fall over if they put stuff. Right, a question down the back there.
Hi, good evening everyone. I'm Sarah. I'm a local Bromley resident, have lived here on and off for over 30 years. My question is, I'm not aware of how much air quality testing has been done, but from what I've read, it's been said that according to WorkSafe, the levels are at a level that's not going to cause us any issues. However, I'm assuming that's based on an 8-hour workday. A lot of us are at home for a lot longer than that. I'm waking up in the night with a burning throat and streaming eyes, as are my pets, and I know many other people in the room have experienced those sorts of health concerns. So I'd like to know what's going to be done to address our health in the immediate term.
Health concerns are two issues with that. Helen, are you going to take that one out again, are you? Okay.
Thanks, Don. Yes, we've done 2 rounds of air quality testing, and the purpose of that was to determine what exactly is the makeup of the gases that are causing the odours. We know they're reduced sulphur compounds because that's what you get when you have a poorly functioning sewage plant, but we wanted to know exactly what they were and what levels they were and where they were coming from around the plant and across the community. We've done 2 rounds of sampling. We've shared the results with Environment Canterbury and with the District Health Board and the Medical Officer of Health. And what we're going to do is compare those to ambient air quality guidelines. So that's what you and I breathe all day, all night, not the WorkSafe ones. And we're going to set some trigger levels for the future monitoring, and we'll publish all of that for you. So we've got a 4-week program of sampling at the moment, and then we'll reset that once we've talked to the District Health Board.
Okay, that didn't quite answer the question as far as I'm concerned, Helen.
We've done 2 rounds of sampling already, and we're going to do another 2 to 4, and then we're going to reset exactly what we monitor, where we monitor it, and how often we monitor it after talking with the health authorities.
And the other part of the question, Helen, is what we're going to do around community support for health issues and health concerns, and how we get this community to see a doctor. And one of the things I think we need to mention is that there are going to be a variety of health clinics. We've also got people. I'd like to introduce actually Anne Galloway, who I've been speaking with almost on a daily basis, who is a counsellor who spends a lot of time looking after welfare. And what has interested me about what Helen's had to say is reaching out to NGOs to make sure that we connect with our doctors. These guys run the plant. They run the plant essentially. They're not doctors, they're not, well, some of them have got doctorates, but they're not medical doctors. And that's part of the community response we're going to have to rise up. Right, next question down the back there where I promised to... I lost all microphones.
Yeah, Damien Alley, just in regards to the Bromley Wildlife Reserve, that's my biggest question. What steps have been put in place to make sure that the Bromley Wildlife Reserves continue to be a wildlife reserve and not a toxic pond?
Okay, so there's some good news and bad news in terms of the change in the water quality on the ponds. The good news for people who are bugged by the midges is that we don't have the same quantity of midges on the ponds. We have been doing midge control along the ponds that are close to residents, and we're not having to do that at the moment. Sorry. But the bad thing about the change in water quality of the ponds is that because the midges aren't breeding in there, the birds have left, and they've redistributed themselves around Canterbury to where they can find some midges and a good food source. So as the ponds come back to full health, the birds will come back.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, somebody else I'd like to introduce you to on that particular subject. Pauline Cotter, stand up and come and present yourself over here. Because Pauline is the chair of the Three Waters, but also the chair of the Environment Subcommittee. So we have some councillors here tonight. I'd like to point out the councillors, both from Environment Canterbury, but also our environmental councillors on the City Council are keen to be here, so they care about this, okay?
Kia ora everyone, and I am standing. My committee is actually called the Three Waters Infrastructure and Environment Committee, so it's a very complex committee with some interesting items on it, so thank you for introducing me.
You're more than welcome. Right, who's next with a question?
For those, sorry. Yeah.
A deaf Sorry, a signed question.
Good evening. I'm deaf. My name is Janet and I live in this area in Bromley. I've lived here for over 25 years. I would like to know what the council are going to do to support us, the residents here. What is it you're going to do? What is the actual support you're going to provide? We're all here and we have had enough. We've had enough of it.
Gary would like to answer that?
My name's Warren Michael O'Connell. I've worked at the treatment works. I was a union
Hold on a sec,
manager
sir.
for 5
Hold on a
years.
sec. We want an answer to the last question. We want an answer first from Gary, and we're going to find out why Gary's been asked to answer it, because firstly he's going to tell us who he is.
Evening everybody, my name is Gary Watson. I'm the Partnerships and Planning Manager at Council. So I work under Mary, so the community side of it. I am tasked on Tuesday to deliver options to the Council on what we can do to support you. I'm going to need some information around where in the community that support could be coordinated from. I don't think it should be coordinated from council because it's not somewhere where it needs to be somewhere here that you're comfortable to go with. We are looking at all the options we've got at the moment, so I can't give you any promise at the moment, but Tuesday I'm expected to deliver to council the options I've got. What I could do with is, as you go out on those notes, tell me the organisations within your communities that could best deliver this for you, where you would feel comfortable to go to and receive something. Sorry?
Right, so I've just had an interesting comment back from both the Mayor and Sam McDonald, and really what we need you to do is not ask the council what they're going to do for you, but tell them what you want. Now the first thing, I've got a big list up. Where did my list go? Can I have my list back? Can someone make my list reappear? Thank you, you are wonderful. I'm going to introduce you to her in a minute too, because she's my second best new friend. Gary's actually my first new best friend this week. I spent all day talking to him. They need us to just tell. And one of the things we've already said is rates. Yes, PowerPoint, and just find the other. And that is one, they've got that message. They've got it, and they've got it again about 1,000 times that we want some rates. The reason we want some rates relief is another thing. Because some of our houses are starting to get mould and stuff on the outside. We're going to have to wash them. We're going to have smelly curtains that when this is all done and dusted and needed cleaning. There's dozens and dozens of reasons. And that's part of the reason for those little post-it notes. If there's something in your house that you want, then write it down. But you're not going to think of everything tonight, which is why I started the sewer crisis thing. Leanne, you don't have to photograph that because I will send it to you. You know I will send it to you. Yes?
It's just me back again, sorry. I've worked on this plant for 5 years on the treatment works, and I tell you the ins and outs of the place. Literally. A lot of people don't know there's about 2 miles of tunnels that go under there. I've sprayed midges out here with chemicals, man, that have been banned by overseas countries. Malathion, it goes out and it goes in that estuary out there at night. They don't know that they floods in that area or in that estuary. But I want to ask you, how are you going to keep the smell down when you take these filters out? I know what those filters are, I put them in there sometimes. I've worked on those domes. And those domes interlock, and when they get searing heat, we've been up there and had to put piping, tubing up in there to stop the smell getting out. So it's been there for a long time, the smell. But you're right, it's getting bad, and I think these people need to be, things need to be sorted out pretty quick. It has been slack, and I lived in this area for 55 years. And I'm just wondering how you're going to keep the smell down. Is there any chance you can put something, chemicals, in there while you're taking out those filters? Because man, it's going to stink when they start coming out.
So I think you've got
thank you very much anyway.
I think you've got 2 points. I think you've got 2 points that I'm going to put to Helen. One is that we have people in our community that have a lot of, Helen, you can wander on up because I am going to hand you this microphone. We've got a lot of people in this community who actually, and in the broader Christchurch community with technical knowledge, and they often feel like they're being fobbed off and not listened to when they've got experience. However, I did speak to this in council, and Leanne will testify to this, that sometimes we have to let the experts, or the people who are paid to be the experts today that Dawn has hired, actually get on and do the job. And if I keep bothering them with questions every other day, then, and I do that already, don't I, Dawn? Yes. Thank you. What Dawn means to say, because she's polite and I'm not, is actually several times a day. But Helen, would you like to respond to more the technical side of that a little bit?
So yes, there is the potential for more odours as we disturb the material, particularly the material that's underneath the capping of the material that melted during the fire. So the contractor is going to look at arrangements to mist that material while they take it out. So that will suppress dust, but should also suppress odours. And there's also the opportunity to add deodorising chemicals. So both of those things will be in place. I cannot promise that both of those things will mean no odours. So that there are likely to be odours during that removal, and we're going to work to minimise those.
Right. The question there was, why don't we add that in there now? And in fact, there's a bunch of us that have been asking that question. And trust me, if you think you want to know, I want to know more, because one of my friends is an industrial chemist. And we've been looking at the stuff, and I've had people ringing me from around the country saying, we've got products, we could put products in there. So yes, that's one of those questions, but I don't think it's a question we're going to get an answer tonight on that, because it's really technical. Helen, would you like to explain why we can't cover them? And then I am going to come back to the gentleman who has I've taken the microphone off.
So covering the problem up is not going to help us. We need to get it out. It leaves it there. We've got to get it out.
Okay, fair comment. I think the comment from the crowd, Helen, is that they're not happy you've covered it. And you know I'm not happy you haven't covered it. Dawn, do you know how many times I've asked that question in an OIA request? Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to apologise, Leanne, for bearing me over here before. And Caleb, good on you, mate. There's a council election coming up. You could probably replace a few of these. Everybody, my name's Paul Wood. I live around in Mecca Place, probably as close as you can get to the poo pond. Now, I know some people do live closer, but tonight when I walked out my door, I just about reached, and I'm used to the smell. I got to here, and there's virtually no smell. So, what I'm saying to all you people sitting up there who couldn't organise one of these, 7 months in, as your own stuff says, why? And my invitation to you is come and camp in my yard next weekend. And I'll see if you're brave enough to do it.
Yeah, you up for camping trip?
I live up the road. I was going to give you a cup of tea.
I'm sorry, mate, I missed your first name. Paul. I'd like to decline your kind offer of living in your backyard for a weekend, but I will come and visit, and we will talk. So, and I kind of want to say today, and I did start with an apology, and the apology is genuine, because we screwed up. I can't go back over time and reissue communications that didn't happen. We can organise meetings like this, but we can organise them to suit what you need. No, this was organised before we were in a position to organise one. We wanted to get the contract settled so that we could tell you how long it would take. That is why we had it. Literally, we wanted, as I said, if this had been last week, I would have been telling you.
Yep, Leanne, I'm just going to take that as read that you've declined an invitation to go camping with Paul.
But I want people to tell us how they want to be communicated with. How many are on email?
Show of hands,
Okay.
show of hands.
And how many are receiving our email newsletters?
I know the answer to that because I had the air quality testing results up online when none of you did because somebody sent them via the channel. Was that you, Dawn?
We want you to let us know how you want us to communicate with you.
Okay, so the question that Leanne has posed, well, it was community questions, and I guess as Leanne is also a member of the community, she gets to ask one as well. The question that was asked was, is email the best way to communicate with this community? Certainly the other option is flyers. One option is flyers, another is social media via Facebook. Do we have some Twitter fans in the house other than the media? I know that you guys do nothing but Twitter all day when you're not behind cameras. Okay, so if you have some ideas, please reach out and tell us how you'd like to be communicated with. Can I call for another question, please? Thank you.
Kia ora koutou whānau. My name is Tania. I have lived in this area for 35 years. My question to the council, but before I do, I'll say thank you, Caleb, because you've been a godsend. My question is, you're talking about air quality, you're talking about making things happen in our area, but nobody's talking about who's going to pay for us to go and see the doctors. Who's going to pay for our children who are constantly being sick because of the fumes and the toxic smells that they are breathing in daily? And when they sleep, you can't have your windows open, you can't have your doors open. I'm really concerned about growing food in my gardens because I don't know what it's doing to our plants, our vegetables, our fruit. Who is going to pay for this?
Okay, so can I ask you a couple of questions? So first question is, do you own a flat or do you own a home or do you rent it?
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said then.
So the answer to the question is that is precisely what we're looking at now, is how do we resource the community to meet their needs for the next 4 months. That's what we want to know from the community. So you've just mentioned the cost of doctor's visits. You've mentioned your concerns about growing food in the garden. These are the sorts of things that we want to hear from you tonight because that will enable us to get a package together that will support a variety of needs. There are a lot of people in this room who are prepared to get up and ask a question. There'll be a lot of people in this room who aren't so comfortable with getting up and talking about their personal issues. So I'd like to thank you for saying what's concerning you, but that's what we need to hear.
And I totally understand that, Leanne, but my concern is we've had 7 months of this rubbish. 7 months where our children are constantly sick. My husband is sick. It's impregnated in my house, in my curtains, in my carpet. Everybody in this room is going through the exact same thing, except for the people who don't live on this side of town.
Okay, so Caleb has just presented me with another question. Caleb, would you like to, I think what Caleb said is, can we get an answer? And I think what we're really wanting to know is, the Mayor has the question. The answer is, when are we going to actually hear a paper in front of council telling us what the offer is?
First of all, actually, I want everyone to raise their hands who is in the exact same position as the woman who just spoke. Wow. So it's not it's the majority. It's not just her. We want an answer.
Okay, so hi, Kia ora, I'm Anne Galloway, and I've been working with Mary and Gary, and on Tuesday we will be presented with those answers, those solutions to those practical things that you have talked about tonight. And so they're the issue. They're things like paying for the doctor. They're things like getting your clothes to a laundromat so that they can be cleaned. How can we get you some vouchers to get out of the city for a while? How can we help in that practical way? They're the things we need to hear from. That's what we'll be hopefully dealing with. But we can't tell you what you need. You have to tell us what you need. So, yeah.
So now, sorry guys. Now that you know that those are real concerns within the community, are they going to be enacted upon?
So on Tuesday, and at the moment, Gary is actually working to identify those community groups and NGOs in this area that you trust and you can work with, and you will go to get those funds to help you with meet those needs. It's practical, it's going to be real. And so we are here to hear what you need so that we can respond. There will be a fund for those things to be dealt with. So Gary, on Tuesday, will present those options, but we will go back to you and we'll say, is this what you need? Does this meet the need? I was talking to Annette down the back, and she was saying she's a really key person here. She manages this hall. No, I'm not actually running for re-election. I'm here because I care for you and I want the best for you.
Yep, in a second, you can. Take a second.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sam McDonald. I'm happy to say I just want to come along tonight to add a bit of independent assurance from a council point of view. I don't live in the area, but I sympathise with you. I know that people, and I'm the deputy chair of finance at council, so we are looking. No, it's not. Well, I mean, you can do that if you like, but I'm just trying to offer some assistance. There are a few people that mentioned around the rates remission, and I just want to make the point that, from my point of view, I'd much rather have targeted funding for you to help. Well, no, can I just explain my point? Can I just explain my point though?
You've had 14 years to sort this out. So can I just jump on this?
No, I need to explain this because it's actually very valid. Okay, well, I'm going to say it anyway. Yeah. The reality is there are a lot of people that rent, so rates remission will not affect them. They will not receive it. So the point is, if we can directly target people who are living in the homes as opposed to rates remission, ultimately, why would you give a rates remission to someone who owns a property that doesn't live in the area? So I just wanted to make that point. We are literally focused on it.
Thanks, Sam, because that's where I was going next. I had two questions for the lady. One, does she own a house? And two, how much is she paying in rates? And one of the questions I've got is I only pay $2,000 in rates where I live. And the health costs for some people may be more than that. So that's why some of these issues need to be targeted. Let's hear another question. Yep.
Kia ora koutou. I guess my question is relatively simple. I think I'm relatively tech savvy, considering I work in IT. I have received little to no communication, and I know that my neighbour does not use social media, doesn't really use the internet. So how is this going to be communicated to everyone in the community, not just those with access to such things?
You're up, Katie. Katie's my second new friend for the day.
Kia ora koutou, my name's Katie McRae. I'm the Head of Communications Engagement at Council. Look, what I'm very clearly hearing tonight is email alone is clearly not going to do it. We will be looking at flyers. We'll be looking at meetings. We'll be looking at online, but we'll also be looking at hard copy. We'll do what it takes to get the information out.
Thanks, Katie, and I'd like to introduce you to somebody else, actually, whose name I'm dreadfully sorry I have forgotten. Yes, I'm looking at you in the yellow dress. Please come and join me. Because I believe that you're the media liaison.
I am. Joss Ritchie, and I'm the media liaison for the organisation and for the mayor. That's me. I work under Katie.
Excellent. Because I've got a question for the media. I've got a question actually for the IT savvy lady. Is the media getting the messaging to you as well? Is the likes of Stuff and the Otago Daily Times, do we need to be getting those guys in the room and getting better information out through those platforms? Thumbs up on that. Everyone else?
I've got a question.
Okay.
You said you wanted to hear from people in the area. Are you going to listen? Because I've got something to say. Unlike a lot of you here, I haven't lived here for very long. My partner and I are first home buyers in this area, and it was hard enough for us to get a first home at this time, and it's awful living with that smell. I know that you're probably doing all you can at the moment, but I just want to go back to that rates part. Why should we have to pay the same rates to someone that lives in Sockburn who's not smelling that. My friends pay the same rates as we do, and they don't have that smell, and I think that's really, really unfair. I can't hang my washing out, I can't get out my house. Taking my dog for a walk should be a really nice time, and it's not.
So the question essentially is again,
About
we
the
want to
rates.
hear about a rates remission. We're hearing about targeted
I get the renters part, I get
packages on
that.
Tuesday. And Sam, I think, as the head of the finance committee, yes? Deputy head of the finance committee has definitely heard that message, I think. Yep.
Hi, my name's Kathy Baker. I've lived in the area for over 20 years. I work at the local school. We have 360 children who daily we like to give physical exercise, healthy eating. We can't get them outside at times because the smell is so disgusting. We have children with asthma, we have children with headaches, we have children with stomach aches, we have kids who don't want to come to school. They cannot play in this disgusting smell for another, how many months you say? 4, I don't believe it. So my question is how are we going to keep our children physically and mentally well with the smell for the next 4 months, I'm going to say 6 months or longer, when I don't believe you can't cover it. I think that's just a bloody cop-out. If the buildings are falling down, we cover those. In America, they have these big plastic coverings that they go over sports stadiums. You could cover those bloody things in 5 minutes. Let's get it done so our kids can go outside. We've got an obesity because our children are not going outside to play. They're not walking their dog. They're not going for a run. So
essentially you're saying your message is the same as mine, and I've heard some quite good explanations as to why they can't be covered. But I'm also hearing a lot of explanation that the communications coming out of council hasn't filtered that information through well. So clearly we're going to have to continue to explain in layman's terms, but in more detail, why you won't cover them. And haven't covered them so far. 6 months. Right, do we have another question? Do we have another question? Thank you. Let's try and keep it a little bit calmer this time, because I feel like I'm getting agitated.
Microphone.
Kia ora. Hi everyone, my name is Cherie. I've lived in Bromley for 27 years. So what I'm wanting to ask is why aren't you, the information that's being sent out, it's quite difficult to access and understand the language in it. So I would like to see some plain language information, so I just want to know how everyone is going to be able to access the information you send out.
Who would like that one?
That's just a yes.
Yes?
That's a yes.
That's just a yes. Okay, another question. Yes.
I'm Sharon Holdness and I've lived here for over 45 years. I've got a loud voice, I'm a teacher. The Christchurch City Council has said that they are going to, the smell is going to get worse before it gets any better while the stuff that's in those trickling plants are removed. What I want to know is, are the Christchurch City Council going to monitor more regularly than once every 4 weeks or once every 2 weeks to make sure that the stuff coming out of there is not turning toxic and then letting us know what is actually happening?
That's also a yes.
That is also, well, I do have another question. I turned on my heat pump the other night and just about suffocated. How are we going to get through the winter if we can't turn on our own source of heating?
Heat pumps don't drag air from outside.
Mine hurts.
I'm going to let these guys just ponder that question a little bit, because it is actually a question that has come up in social media from many of you quite regularly, is that turning on your heating in your home seems to exacerbate the smell for some reason. Cool. Phil.
Where the heat pumps go.
Simple language, please.
Pardon?
Simple language.
Simple language. Heat pumps just recirculate the air inside your house. It is then taken through some pipe, not the air, the sort of the refrigerant, and it is either cool on the outside. That's why you've got the fan on the outside, either cooling it or heating it. So no air is mixed from the outside to the inside on a heat. The smell, if you've got smell, it's in the house. It's recirculating.
My question will be, sorry guys, my question is, what about an HRV or a DBS system?
I don't know about an HRV system.
We can get the technical answers to these questions.
So, for those that didn't hear Leanne at the front of the room, what she's committing to is trying to understand the problem in more detail and then getting some people to start figuring out how we answer it. Sorry, I didn't hear that question. Yeah, Leanne's got that point. Where is the other roving mic gone? Did that make its way back here?
Not coming through. Okay.
Thank you.
Need the microphone.
Why has it taken you 7 months since the fire, and why has it taken you 14 years to do anything?
Okay, so can we take the lady's question who's got the microphone and standing? Because we can't all hear the questions clearly at the front.
Kia ora, my name is Lou. My question is that Christchurch has had over a decade of disasters, and mental health is already a problem, particularly for our children who have grown up with just this constant life of disaster. Mental health is also a really hard service to access, so is that on your agenda for Tuesday, to be providing, how can we support the community, particularly the tamariki?
Absolutely is, absolutely is.
Do we have another question? We've got him running now. I told you they were running.
Okay, my question is, if this is going to take 4 months to empty these tanks out, and we're only going one at a time, why can't we halve it, less stench, and do both tanks at once? And don't say there's not the room. There's three entrances to that area. Surely we can have 2 machines going at once.
It's a very tight site, and there are also a lot of cables and pipeworks running through that site, and we're trying to run the treatment plant at the same time. So logistically, we're doing it as fast as we can, and there is some overlap in terms of emptying the 2 tanks, but it's relatively small, so it's generally one at a time is the most effective way of doing it.
Yes.
My question is regarding, you're talking about setting up help and everything. Like, there is a lot of people here with mortgages and have insurance. So the smell is in my carpet, it's in my curtains, it's in my bedding. I have to claim insurance, but I lose a no claims bonus. How am I going to be compensated for one, the claim, and losing my no claims bonus?
Dawn, an insurance question. Do you want to take that?
That will be one of the factors that we will actually have to discuss on Tuesday.
Stand up.
It won't make that much difference if I stand up. I'm only 5 foot tall. So, hearing that won't Yeah, well, I got in first. That will be absolutely one of the things we will discuss on Tuesday with the elected members.
Thank you, Dawn.
Hi, my name is Diane, and actually I'm not from here, I live in Brindware, but when I open the windows I can smell the smell, so I really feel for the people here. Now my question's a little bit different, because I know when Three Waters takes over, we won't be able to have these community meetings because it'll be somebody far removed that'll be in control of the wastewater, drinking water, and stormwater. And in Avonhead, there was a meeting not long ago, and Sam McDonald was there, Nicola Willis from Selwyn, standing in for Jerry Bromley, Sarah Pallett didn't bother to come, and the mayor did come. But here we have a lot more councillors here. And I'm wondering, what are you going to be doing to fight this Three Water theft that we have, so that we can have community output?
Okay, I'm certainly going to let Leanne respond to that, but I would like to remind the audience that this is not a debate about Three Waters tonight. This is a debate about sewage treatment. So the question essentially is, how is Leanne, as the chair, and Dawn going to prevent government policy from slowing down this recovery?
The Three Waters reforms is not what we're here to discuss tonight. We will discuss it with you if that's what you want to do. But tonight is about the response, and in our instance, the inadequate response to the community in terms of ensuring that people understand what's going on and what we can do to support each other through these next 4 months. So, and I think that it's wrong to sidetrack onto the Three Waters issues. I'm happy to debate that with anyone, anywhere they like. We have opposed the reforms, but we've also asked ourselves what is going to be the best interest of our city if the government proceeds with the legislation which hasn't been introduced yet. So we've got to look at it both ways, because every option will have to be on the table. But tonight it's about what is it that we can put in place to support you, and how do we better communicate to you so that you understand what's going on, and yet you have a channel where you can ask any question that you like.
Thanks, Leanne. That was a fabulous answer. Right, yes, go.
Yeah, so my name's Luke. I'm a young homeowner. I'm a ratepayer, just like most people here. I have a young family. We have a boy that goes to Bromley school here, and I want to just reiterate what the question that Kathy Baker had, which is what is going to happen in regards to the school here and the local children that are suffering every single day. What is the council's position on this, and what is going to happen?
The well-being of the children.
We will go to the school. We will go and talk to the school director.
The school's already.
When?
The school's already booked yet.
We'll be at the school next week. We'll have contact with the school next week and look at
Just saying, we will make contact with the school next week and we'll discuss with them what solutions and options there are. We're making a commitment to do that.
Okay, so the answer to that question is Monday morning someone from council is going to make contact with the school. Let's hold them to that. Go.
Alright, I'm back on to the lovely smell. I'm on Shortland Street. My kids have constant headaches. I've been working the last 2 years supporting this COVID outbreak from home. I can't support those people with a constant headache. You guys are all sitting up there, and I'm supporting a COVID outbreak in our country, helping people across the country, sitting from my home with that smell day in, day out. My kids don't go to school because they have constant headaches and feel like they're going to be sick, and then I have Ministry of Education contacting me because I've had too many days off school. So not just Bromley, all the schools in the area need to have someone visit.
So that's a second education question, isn't it? And the question essentially is council, I think, reaching out to the Department of Education and saying, hey, we don't want truancy officers in our homes because our kids are taking an extra day because they don't feel great. So that's a concern that needs to be discussed with the, I'm getting nodding from Mary, who is the head of, yes.
I'll contact the regional director in the Ministry of Education on Monday, Coraline.
We'll hold her to that too. Did we get that? Yep, we got that on last week. Next question, yes. Yeah.
My name's Aaron Kuhn. This room we're in was actually the very first classroom I was ever in. I went to Bromley Primary. It was the only primary school I ever went to. Didn't start school much longer after that, but now I'm a counsellor and I'm here. But I've got a question for you around, for all the parents in the room who have kids that go to these schools. Post-quake, we shipped kids across the city to other parts when schools were being repaired. Is that the sort of solution you're looking for? Because it's a big one, but it's one we could ask the education board about. Yeah, and you've been told that it's 4 months, so do you want the kids to still keep complaining, or do you want us to look for very big solutions?
The question was asked, the answer was given was a no, but the question is out there. So it's certainly something to follow up, because while we might not want it in the room, there may be other folk in the community who want to consider that. Can we move on to the last few questions, because we are at 8:30 now, and as it says on the board...
Can I just respond to the councillor who just spoke?
Yes.
My child was shipped across town post-quake, and it was detrimental to his mental health. So that is not an answer, I'm sorry. Just so that's my opinion, but it was too hard. Our babies suffered daily, and I'm not willing to put them through that again.
So asked and answered.
Thank you.
Excuse me for maybe sounding a little bit too practical. Because we can only clear out one of the tanks at a time, can we not cover the other one in the meantime?
As I said, we're not in a position to answer every single question tonight. And these questions have all been asked of our, the technical staff that we've got advising us on this. Of course, we've asked whether one can be covered or both can be covered or what can be done. Everything's been worked through. But what we haven't done is we haven't shared that information with you in a way that's accessible. So you can read a council report and all of the stuff's in it, but it doesn't help us communicate on that. I mean, apart from the fact that the original time frame that we were given by the single contractor that we went to, so we didn't go out to open market, we went to a single contractor. We said, how long will it take? We got them to 7 months, and that was the end of this year. And then when it came down to the nitty-gritty of contracting, of signing the contract, we got them down to the first week in spring, so the first week in September. So now the contractor's working very closely with the technical people in council. They're going to work 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. We've asked them, can they work 7 days? We've asked them, can they work 24/7? We've asked them all of these questions. At the same time that they're running a very complex and dangerous work site, they have to keep the workforce safe. And when you cover, yes, but when you cover the material and the gases are involved, then it does create a dangerous environment because it heats. So I'm not a technical expert, but what I can do is make sure that this information is translated into plain language, as was asked before, and shared with the community so that you understand that we have asked all of these questions, but the fact that you're still asking them means that we haven't done at all well at sharing the answers that we've received.
Thank you, Leanne. Do we have another question?
Yes. Leanne, can you point to jobs the City Council, major construction things that have happened in the city that have come out on time?
That's a cycle.
Like I said, the assurance I can give you is that we have pulled forward the work from December this time till the end of August. What I want to do is give you an independent assurance that every week we're going to be monitoring the progress of the team when they're doing it. That's all we can ask for. We would love them to be there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The reality is we can't dump the stuff quick enough. So we've pushed them to the absolute nth degree to do it. But the assurance I can give you is that every week, Leanne and I will be sitting as an insurance subcommittee, literally monitoring the stuff. And what we've said, and that the team are going to take it away tonight and do it, is there'll be literally a graph on our website, or however you want it communicated, which shows you the progress. We want you to know what is happening, and we will monitor it so that they're feet to the fire to get rid of it. We can't give you more than that.
Experience with organisations in the time. I've seen organisations make mistakes. What we're doing here is an organisation promising and admitting they've made mistakes, promising they'll do better, however the better never happens. And this is what disturbs me. The council have told us lies.
Sorry.
Leanne talk on the radio that the smell was coming from the compost centre. Yeah, and that was frankly bullshit. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Look,
You did say that, I heard you.
So look, I apologise. I'm probably not being very clear. What I'm telling you is that we have let the contract, and that we will literally monitor it every week, so that we hold their feet to the fire to get rid of it. If we didn't look at it, I agree with you, there would be slippage. We're going to know, they know every week we are watching to get this done as quickly as possible. That's the only assurance I can give you.
Sorry, what was the question from down the back there? And then I'm going to come to the live stream for a question.
I would like to ask, is there any chance that you do shift work on this job? Because it sounds like a lot of people are just pissed off, and if you put out the contract, there's a lot of people that could come in, help, do shift work, and actually speed up the process.
Yeah, I
Has
see
that
two
even been
questions in
discussed?
that. I see two questions in that, and one is a city that wants to get in behind this and help. And I know I've already been told that the contractor is already talking to the subbies across the city and organising resource. Frankly, I don't believe their timeline. And I don't think any of you believe their timeline. But one of the differences between maybe me and you is I'm an analyst computer program, and I did the maths, and I worked out this afternoon how many trucks for 13,000 cubic metres per tank going through a crusher that I know Phil has got, because I spent an hour talking to him about it yesterday, and the contractor's got one as well. And it's 3 trucks a day, and I think they will move more than 3 trucks a day. I think we'll have to wait a week or so for them to get started, and then actually see what the pace is and ask those questions. And believe me, Dawn will get more OIAs from me every week than she's ever seen in her life.
Don, we can share the information anyway.
Yes, I know. You are sharing the information as fast as, if not faster, than I'm throwing OIAs at you. And I think Dawn will tell you that I asked questions. Sorry, can I take one from the live stream first, which is actually quite a good question, because it says Maces Road is, I can't read, bad, and will this cause more damage to our roads, and how will our roads be managed to make sure there's quality on that? Head of Infrastructure and Roads and things, you did this in my area, you've done a fantastic job. Tell them how you did it.
For those of you that don't know, makes the reference to
Look, I think that's a really good question, and we'll take that one back, because I can't answer that right now. But what we're here to hear tonight is to have these questions raised. And to have these questions raised is excellent. So thank you for a very good question. Yes, Helen, do you have anything to add?
Sorry to throw you under the bus there, Pauline, but you actually did do a fantastic job after we finished the Dudley Creek remediation. 15 years of road maintenance got done in 3. Next question.
Yes, my question is to Helen Beaumont, and the question is, in the Stuff article on the 9th of December 2021, she is quoted as saying, it will take years before we get everything back to the way it has been recently. Do you still think that way?
So we've set up the interim operation of the plant to last for up to 5 years to enable us to rebuild either the trickling filters or another treatment process depending on the state of those structures. So we don't yet know whether we'll retain those structures or whether we'll demolish those structures and do something completely different. So the interim solution is in place for up to 5 years, and during that time the new treatment plant process will be constructed.
Question? Who's on our microphone? Can we have one up the front here? We seem to have gathered down the back a little bit. I'd like to make the council staff run. Gary's going to make me pay for this later. I know it. I can feel it already.
My name is Nairi. I come from Sydenham. I know that there are a lot of people that have been affected by the smell in Sydenham. So will the council get to other suburbs other than Bromley? And how will they do that?
And welfare for other suburbs on Tuesday. We want to know about that as well. Gary's going to answer that one.
We will organise community meetings in other areas if that's what's required, and we'll work with community networks in those areas to identify what type of meetings and information they need.
Where and how often?
It depends on the community. Yeah, it depends.
So basically the council's going to need to do a scan to find out who's affected where, and we can get some of that information probably from ECAN's Smell It app that will tell us where people are actually complaining about it. Yes?
My name is Michael. I live in Bromley.
Hi Michael.
Hi. What I'd like to know is how bad's the smell going to get? At the moment, all I'm hearing is it's going to get worse. What have your technical people said? Because it feels like there's this big cloud of shit hanging over us that's about to descend. And it's bad enough now for people's well-being and mental health. We've heard that all night. But what have we got to look forward to? How bad is it going to be? What are your technical people actually saying?
Helen?
Do
you want to take that, Helen?
So anybody who lives on the east side of town knows that the intensity of those odours and the location of those odours changes from day to day and even from hour to hour. So the generation of the odours varies with the weather, and where they land varies with the weather. So this afternoon, for example, when I came out from work at the Civic building in town, you could smell it. It was quite distinct. And yet when I came out here, you couldn't smell it at all. So tonight, it's going up and over. So it does vary a lot. While we're excavating those trickling filters, we don't know what the weather conditions are going to be day by day, so we don't know what generation of odour there will be day by day or where it will be going. So part of that is having in place the opportunity to put mist across and suppress dust and suppress odours, and that's the work that will be done on site.
Haven't got out the question. The question is, how bad is it actually going to get? Talk about wind direction. We all understand that.
We don't know the answer to that because we don't know what the weather conditions are going to be each day that we're working, and nor do we know how much material.
Your technical people cannot give you a definitive answer around how bad the smell is going to get for us, the residents. I mean, we've got a right to know that. What have we got to look forward to? How bad is it going to be?
We don't know the answer to that.
Okay, so the answer given is that we don't, the technical answer from the technical lead at this stage is we don't know. The question is, the point is we want more information on that. We want to go back and find, and Dawn is writing furiously, because I agree. Did everyone understand what Helen meant by misting? Put your hand up if you didn't understand what misting, what impact misting will have. Oh, at least a couple. Do you want to cover out a little bit more on misting? And why we would use misting?
So most people would have seen it on construction sites and demolition sites actually immediately after the earthquakes, where people spray water across to suppress dust and to suppress odours coming from that site. So it's relatively simple technology, and we'll have that in place.
So I have another question. Have we actually got and asked the experts around the world about this issue? Yeah, we're dealing with a huge issue, and has it been addressed with people, countries where it's happened before, or places that it's happened before? Because we can sit here all night and go round and round, but we still have not come out with the answers to our questions this evening.
So
We've gone around the questions.
So the question essentially is, have we reached out to other agencies, EPAs, other disaster sites around the world? Who would like to pick that up? Helen, you've been outstanding.
So there are a number of projects underway out at the plant, as you might understand. And yes, we've reached out to consultants who have international connections right around the world in terms of the interim operation of the plant, the remediation of the filters, and then the new process that will replace the trickling filters once all our work has been done. So yes, we have drawn on networks across the world, and our consultants have as well. I think one of the things that I'd like to reinforce tonight is that the removal of the trickling filter material is not the only thing we're doing. We are working very hard on improving the operation of the plant day by day, because the trickling filters did 60% of the heavy lifting at that plant. So they took out 60% of the organic material and managed the quality of the effluent and the potential to generate odour. We've lost that effectiveness. So we're now working on converting other parts of the plant to replace that treatment efficiency, which will improve the quality of the wastewater going into the pond and reduce the odours from those ponds as well. So we're working on both fronts. Okay, we're working on the trickling filters, and we're working on improving the water in the oxidation ponds.
Thank you, Helen. I think that very succinctly answered it. Folks, we are now at 8:45, so I'd like to wrap this up at this point. Yes, Gary, I'll take one more question, then I would like to wrap this up, because folks, I'd like to give you as a community an opportunity to talk to each other, meet each other for the first time before we call it a night, probably at about 9:15, 9:30 at the latest. Yes, sir.
So this question isn't one that really needs translation, but are we talking to the people here that can get these things done? Like, I feel like we're complaining to the manager, and every time it just goes up and up, and the time frames get smaller and smaller. Are you the ones that can actually get this done, or do we need to do something to help you to get it up further down the line? Because talking about how you can talk to your people is such a subpar issue. Like, we need to get the stench fixed. Like, that's compensation, sure, but the stench needs to go. The end. No translation.
Who would like to respond to that, Leanne?
Do we need to speak to some people more?
Look, I think that the technical team that are here have answered the questions that they can. The questions that have been raised tonight, though, don't just sit within our field of expertise, all the health issues and wellbeing issues that we will be addressing. But I think that the point that you've made is that you're talking to the right people. Well, you're talking to the people that are responsible for the governance side of things and making sure that the job gets done, and the management side of it. But from the contractor side of it, I guess the reassurance that I've taken from our conversations around the appointment of Southern Demolition is that they are just as committed to getting this stuff out as we have been in trying to ensure that contract time came down from the 7 months to the 4 months. So I think Sam's tried to describe to you just the extent of scrutiny that the council will be putting on this whole process from here on in, but more importantly, reporting it to you on a very open and regular basis.
Thank you, Leanne. And on that note, I'd like to ask you all if you feel like you've given these folk enough of a grilling, because I certainly feel like we've given them a good grilling. And I'd like to offer them a round of applause for coming out on the night.
Thank you.
Yes, there's a tea and coffee after this. Yes.
Hi all, my name's Stephen. I'd like to thank Don and Caleb for organising this, and council staff and elected members coming out. Thank you.